Hello folks, HRC Stanley here of Carbu Studios and Women from Mars, back again with yet another video. Firstly, I want to say I would like to apologize for any of you waiting this long for the next episode and possibly the next series for this year of the Anime Review Show. Let's just say that uni work is quite tightening up right now, and it's been eating a lot of my time, and it's kind of taking away a lot of my focus. So I'll probably get round to doing the next episode. I'm still there's still bits of the script I've already kind of done on and some of the songs and stuff, but yes, you might have to expect maybe around March to April, once I'm feeling more confident in completing the assignments that I've been having to do this past month or two so far. But yeah, so there's that. But anyways, yeah, just less than an hour ago, the new official trailer for Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire had just been dropped on the Warner Brothers YouTube channel. I know there was probably like a teaser trailer and a prior official trailer before then, like in the past month or few months ago, but this one I expect to be a bit more, show more clips, more scenes to give us a bigger idea of what to expect from this new film. And give out my past thoughts, the 2014 Godzilla film is obviously a good back to basics, like kind of a refresher, bringing back the classic King of Monsters into the Western public eye. Kong Skull Island did just as well for the eighth wonder of the world, and I think is a kind of underrated King Kong film in my opinion. King of the Monsters, I think, is another decent enough sequel that kind of ups the stakes, and I feel really bad that it didn't really make as much as it probably should have had. But then again, it came around the same time as Endgame, so obviously anything having to compete with that was obviously gonna dud. And Godzilla vs. Kong, which came out like 2 years ago by now, and it wasn't, and looking back, it wasn't exactly that long a wait as we felt like it was going to be, because the whole delays and the pandemic and stuff. But hey, that one came out and it was a worthy wait. It was a very well-deserved rematch between these two beloved monster movie icons. And I would have thought that Godzilla vs. Kong would have been just kind of the end point of the MonsterVerse. If it just ended there, I would have been satisfied enough. But apparently that one proved successful enough to continue forward. We've had the Skull Island animated series on Netflix, which I managed to see like last year, and I thought it was kind of decent. And there's Monarch: Legacy of Monsters on Apple TV, which I haven't seen yet, since it's on Apple TV and I don't have Apple TV. But I hear the bits of it are good, bits of it are meh, and but again, if you know me, I'm a sucker for world building. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of you want to know my thoughts on this new trailer here. I've just got it open up right now, and I'll be reacting to it and placing my thoughts and speculations. Obviously, I probably won't be able to play the clip, show the clip or audio because I'm a bit cautious on copyright, content IDs and stuff. But yeah, probably 4 minutes in. Without further ado, it's time to kick back, relax, and check out the latest trailer for Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire. Here we go. Blimey. What a trailer. What a trailer. And like with Skull Island, King of Monsters, and Godzilla vs. Kong, there's no way I'm missing this one. But yeah, that was the latest trailer for Godzilla X Kong: The New Empire. So, what are my thoughts and possible speculations on this one? Firstly, some of the scenes and clips here obviously probably seen from like prior trailers, such as Kong's Kong's kind of like gloved fist rising up from the sand dunes of Egypt with the pyramids nearby, reminding some of Revenge of the Fallen, of course. But obviously there's some new bits here, which I probably will be too quick to spoil. But there's quite a bit of destruction and a bit of collateral damage, of course, as you expect from a kaiju film. And for what I'm getting from the story, it certainly feels like a natural continuation from Godzilla vs. Kong, which, having the same director on board, seems pretty legit and straightforward. But yeah, you know how a lot of the earlier movies at least Godzilla v Kong and Skull kind of implied that this Kong was probably the last of his kind, at least one of the last. This movie here doesn't really pull any. Well, it just kind of gives it away. He's not the last one of his kind at all. His whole species are still around and very populated, just in the depths of the whole Hollow Earth thing. And I'm sure some of you have probably seen in the previous trailer. There's a like a little mini Kong, like a son of Kong, if you will, or like a Kiko or Mighty Joe Young or something, or like Kong's own Manila, like, you know, like the son of Godzilla, which I don't think Manila would have even been in this movie. Which, if they do, I'm sure they'll make him cool and badass and cute. But yeah, I don't know. I forgot the name they kind of got for the little mini Kong. Like, I think Simu or something. But I'll just call him Kiko or Son of Kong at the moment until I can get some confirmation and reminder. But yeah, another thing that's kind of alluded to in this trailer is that the deaf girl that accompanies Kong from Godzilla vs. Kong, I think Gio, I think that's her name. She's the deaf girl who's kind of the companion for Kong, kind of like a younger version of, say, Ann Darrow in the classic Kong films, or Annie from that Skull Island cartoon I mentioned. And it's implied that she's having kind of like psychic dreams or something, and almost as like she's telepathically connected to not just this Kong, but also the other Kongs as well. It's also implied that the fellow Iwi tribes, the natives of Skull Island, may possibly be alive as well and still inhabiting the Hollow Earth as well. And it kind of reminds me a bit of the 90s Heisei Gamba trilogy, where the characters of I think Ayana and I forget the other character. I think it also begins with an A, but Asari. I forget the name of the two characters, but in the Gamma trilogy, those girl characters were telepathically connected, or at least mentally connected to like the monsters of Gamera and Iris, because of those little ancient magical Atlantean beads or something. I don't know, but it did kind of start to remind me of that, as well as a little headcanon regarding like priestess and prophets of the times. It also reminded me of the twin fairies of Mothra, you know, the Shobijin or the Cosmos, the Elias or something, which if you've seen the Godzilla or Mothra movies, you probably know who they are. But yeah, don't know what's yeah, it suddenly reminded me of that. And there is a rumor that a Mothra might appear in this movie. Spoilers. At least a Mothra, or the offspring of Mothra, as it was kind of implied that in the credits of King of the Monsters that an egg of Mothra was around, and I hope they got birth Mothras, like Mothra Leo and Mothra Libra or something. I don't know. I think it would be cool to kind of continue off the Moth thing, which they probably won't, but it probably would have been a cool thing. And while we don't see any other returning titans like Rodan or Behemoth, Ciliel or Methuselah or any of the other unseen ones we've kind of alluded to, like Abaddon, Mekele Membe, Yamato Orochi, we do certainly see a lot of Kongs, and they kind of hang out in this big underground cave lair. It's like the Planet of the Apes, which, by the way, there's a new Planet of the Apes movie again coming out soon. Who would have thought? But yeah, it's like Planet of the Kongs. It's almost like that comic I reviewed. Probably one of the very first things I reviewed, like, well, at least if I could call it review, just my first episode of the Anorak. Kong meets the Planet of the Apes, or Kong on the Planet of the Apes. I forget what it's called. I got a copy of it somewhere. Sure, I got it. Yeah. Kong on the Planet of the Apes. One of the first thing I actually reviewed, and or at least just did a brief summary of it, just placed some very rough amateurish thoughts. But yeah, it did bring to mind that, and I'm sure our fellow critic Big Jack Films will do a review of this at some point. But yeah, that's a lot of the Kong stuff, and there's presumably the main antagonist, or at least one of two main antagonists in this, Scar King, who's kind of like a very reddish kind of Kong-looking fellow, who's also a bit scrawny and has these kind of like menacing eyes, like he's seen some stuff now, and he's seen some stuff, and he's not messing around, bro. And he has this spinal whip thing. I don't know what creature he got it from, but it's cool. I would like to know where he got it from. We had an idea where Kong got his axe from in Godzilla vs. Kong, but this Sky King and his spine whip, his spinal tap, I wonder if they'll ever show in like a tie-in prequel comic or something how he got that. But yeah, that's a lot of the Kong stuff. Now for the Godzilla stuff, they certainly show Godzilla evolving in a way. Like in some of the bits we see like him glowing all around his scales, not just his spinal plates, but also all over his scales. Like he's going supernova on something, like Super Saiyan or something. Like he's about to release something from his breath. So yeah, there's that. And of course, as seen in the previous trailer, he certainly gets a new look, a more spikier, purplishly look that definitely reminded me of the Millennium look of Godzilla from like Godzilla 2000, Godzilla vs. Megaguirus, and even a bit of the Kiryu films like Against Mechagodzilla and Final Wars. It's somewhat more spiky, and the blue stuff is kind of as good. So I imagine he's gonna kind of start out looking like as he did in King of the Monsters and Godzilla vs. Kong, which I was fine with. I would have been fine with, by the way. I liked that design the most, but again, I'll probably get used to this one. And at some point, he kind of gets. I imagine he could probably get beaten by one of the monsters at some point, and he's kind of out of the field for a while, like in King of the Monsters, and eventually, at some point, he probably gets recharged again, beefs up more than before, and then he and Kong just charge out like in the trailers, just going out. And of course, that Kong has the new this kind of his little gauntlet, by the way, his like Infinity Gauntlet. More MCU parallels, I guess. But I wonder how they'll do something. How they'll bring that in. I guess likewise, Kong will get some kind of injury, and the thing is kind of like a crutch, I guess, to help him wield the axe. I don't know. It's speculation on my part, but yeah. I would have with all these apes showing up, I would have loved to see Mechanicong in this. We've already had Mechagodzilla in the previous one. Bring in Mechanicong. He shouldn't be that expensive to use from Toho. He's basically a robotic doppelganger of Kong. So, yeah, maybe it was probably like a shelved prototype that Apex made, but use, and maybe this one will kind of bring about and kick some ass. I don't know, but yeah, that's just a bit of wishful thinking from me, and yeah, so they certainly show Sky King as a menace to be reckoned with. Now, they do allude to another one with a bit of like dark like these bright bluish glowing eyes in the darkness, surrounded by spews of lava and magma, which you'd think would be Godzilla, but turns out to be another creature. Which, if you've seen some of the leaked stuff and toys, it's one that is the little whitish red creature they call Shimo. I think that's the name. I could be offish by the pronunciation, but it's called Shimo, which they don't reveal or name drop right away, but they do allude to it with that big freeze breath, and we're getting quite a lot of icy themed stuff going on this year. We've got Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, which both of these involve ice, and both of them involve Empire in the title. So make of that if you will. And one thing I find pretty interesting, though probably unintentional, is that the subtitle of New Empire, the font of it does remind me of the logo of Iron Maiden, or which they took from a poster of the man who fell down to earth. I don't know if it was kind of intentional or just a bit of a coincidence, or they just like the font, but I like Iron Maiden, I like Godzilla, I like Kong, so it's a nice little nod. And funny enough, I also kind of sort of reviewed an Iron Maiden comic back in the day, and particularly the end, if you look at the logo of the New Empire and the logo of Iron Maiden, you'll notice some similarities, like the end letter in particular, and maybe the W as well. But yeah, that's a pretty nice little detail. But yeah, I'm sure it's gonna have some lot of. I'm sure it's gonna have a really big scale to go through it. It's gonna take a lot for this to top the likes of King of Monsters and Godzilla vs Kong, and even Godzilla Minus One, which I saw last year, and that was pretty good. It was a very back to basics on Godzilla, while doing some different takes on it. I'll probably do a brief recap or review of that sometime. Probably not, because just before this movie, because that one was really good. And to compare these two, it's basically apples and oranges. I'm sure this one will be good. God Minus One was pretty good. I'm sure this one will be good for its own reasons. I like steak. I like popcorn. I like sweeties. So I like different things for different reasons. But yeah, those are my thoughts so far, and on this trailer alone. I'm sure the movie would be very good if I get a chance to see it. Yeah, I'll bring out a review of it as soon as I can. This is HRC Stanley. Thank you for watching. Peace down.